Welcome to Binge on Self-Love podcast. I'm your host Anna, but you can call me Anchi. For the past few years, I've been struggling with binge eating disorder, severe procrastination issues, and a really poor self-image. Any kind of self-love has been pretty much non-existent. But I've realized I'm not alone in this, as millions of others struggle with accepting who they are, and we all fight our inner battles. I'm not an expert on this, nor I claim to be, but I have a story and I want to share it with you guys, raw and honest, with all its highs and lows. Every Tuesday, I share my experience, thoughts, and tips on overcoming binge eating disorder, procrastination, and tips on gaining self-love and respect. Join me and our listeners on our journey to build a healthier and kinder relationship with ourselves. Make sure to subscribe to Binge on Self-Love podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts so you don't miss any future episode. For more content on binge eating, procrastination, self-love, and self-acceptance, visit bingeonselflove.com and follow me on Instagram at bingeonselflove. Disclaimer: Binge on Self-Love podcast is intended for informational purposes only. It doesn't provide professional medical advice, and it is not a substitute for a diagnosis or treatment.
Enchanté.
Hello everybody, how are you? Welcome to another episode of the Binge on Self-Love podcast. I'm your host Anna, but you can call me Anchi. And I must start this episode with two amazing things. First, I want to thank every single one of you for your lovely messages. I truly appreciate it, and your support and your feedback on this podcast means so much to me. So thank you all. And second of all, I want to thank you for tuning in, because we have now officially passed 1,000 listens of this podcast, which I am incredibly grateful for. I know it doesn't sound like much compared to other podcasts and stuff like that, but I don't think that truly matters. It matters to me that so many of you listen to this podcast and so many of you seem to enjoy this podcast. So thank you so much for that. If you haven't yet subscribed to this podcast, you can do so on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and multiple other platforms. And most importantly, if you could give me your feedback, whether that's rating the podcast in the Apple Podcasts or writing a review on Instagram or DM me your feedback, that will mean so much to me, because your feedback is essential for me to know what episodes you like, what content you like, and what topics you would like me to talk about in this podcast. I started this podcast because I wanted to have an opportunity to talk about problems and things that I find important, and problems that I think we need to talk about more, and problems we need to be more open about. And as you probably know, I deal or have dealt with many of those things that I talk about myself, whether that's binge eating disorder, procrastination, or somehow accepting myself for who I am. And I know that many of you deal with these problems as well, and I feel like we need to talk about them and we need to admit them in order to be able to face them and deal with them. And together with binge eating disorder, one of my biggest problems has always been procrastination. I've talked about procrastination in multiple episodes already, but honestly, I think it's something we could talk about, or at least I could talk about forever, and still come up with new discoveries, theories, and new solutions. I am doing much better when it comes to dealing with binge eating disorder. For the past 3 years, I've did a huge progress from binging every single day, multiple times a day, to not binging at all, at least so far. But I feel like I haven't had that much success when it comes to procrastination. I have progressed for sure, otherwise I think I wouldn't be able to do this podcast. But the biggest pain point for me has been procrastination when it comes to my personal life and my personal goals. And the fact that we live in a society that is obsessed, and I mean quite literally obsessed, with productivity and with hustling, it doesn't really contribute to feeling any better about yourself or myself if you can force yourself to do something as simple as to respond to an email in time. So in this episode, I want to look at procrastination from a slightly different perspective, and that's from a perspective of a procrastinator living in the hustle culture. So without further ado, let's get into the episode.
Enchanté.
I need to ask you, do you also feel the growing pressure and the mindset in the society in general to be more productive? To do more, to learn more, to consume more, to start your side hustle, to start a business, to become an entrepreneur, to become someone successful in both career and personal life? Do you feel that too? Or is it just my personal feeling? Because I feel like that all the time. And maybe it has a lot to do with the people I follow on social media and with the things that I'm interested in. And maybe I am just too caught up in my social bubble, which is highly possible. But I just can't shake the feeling that our society is becoming obsessed with being productive 24/7 and showing that off to other people and proving that to both themselves and other people. I do realize that there are more important problems people deal with, especially now. But on the other hand, we live in this society and the world is progressing, and so do our problems. And as much as I am grateful that we live in the age where almost anything is possible, where we can become pretty much anyone and anything we want, and that we can find any piece of information we need literally in a matter of seconds, I still think the whole hustle culture and the work hard, play hard idea can become really toxic. When I open Instagram and I see the people I follow, and when I watch people's lives on YouTube, it seems like everybody is working really, really hard, and it seems they are working all the freaking time. And it seems like they're trying to juggle many different responsibilities simultaneously, and somehow it seems to be working for them. And social media are full of boss babes, entrepreneurs, CEOs, founders, business owners, and freelancers. And I truly love that we have these opportunities to become whoever we want. But on the other hand, what I don't like and what I feel like is creating the toxic environment are the unrealistic and unattainable expectations that come from the hustle culture. Hustle culture is all about working, and about how many things you are able to juggle at the same time, whether that's working on your job, working outside of your job, working on your business, working on your freelance business, working on your side hustle and stuff like that. But the hustle obviously takes its toll on other areas in your life, whether that's your sleep time, overall health, free time, or even the time you spend with your loved ones. And I feel like it's becoming this new norm among people, and I honestly think it's scary. The hustle culture creates this idea that if I am not busy, there must be something wrong with me. It means that I am not doing enough and that I should be doing more. And since it's becoming this new norm, as a procrastinator, I find myself to be at a quite weird position. I mean, procrastination itself is something that most of us are not really proud of. It's something that may be challenging to deal with. But I feel like that among the hustle culture environment, procrastination is becoming almost like a forbidden word. I feel like procrastination automatically translates as weak or lazy to so many people. The years spent studying at the university were probably my lowest point when it comes to procrastination. I hated the major that I chose, and at the same time I didn't want to give up, but I also couldn't make myself to study, so I ended up procrastinating. And then there were people who managed to get good grades, keep a social life, and some of them maybe even managed a business or a side hustle or something like that. And I say this every time, we shouldn't compare ourselves to anybody, but let's be honest, it is inevitable sometimes. And comparing my procrastinating self to someone who's capable of working really, really hard always makes me feel like shit about myself. And especially now when the hustling and working really, really hard mindset is becoming the new norm. Why am I even talking about the hustle culture in the first place is that as someone who has pretty severe issues with procrastination, I do find the always busy, always working mindset in the society to be toxic. Again, this may be just my personal feeling, and it may be completely irrelevant, but I often feel like I'm worse than people who work 24/7, and I often feel like I'm not good enough and that I'm just lazy and that I can never achieve anything great in life, whatever area we're speaking of, just because I don't have the hustle culture mindset and because I have issues with procrastination. And number 2, the hustle culture makes procrastination something you don't really want to talk about. I even hated to admit to myself that I have this problem. I tried to deny it as long as I could. I tried to come up with excuses why I can't force myself to do something. And I felt, and I still do, feel sometimes ashamed of my procrastination issues because I feel like it makes people automatically think, oh, she's just lazy. And I don't think that's the case, to be honest. I don't think that procrastination equals laziness. I think you're either lazy or you're procrastinating, but it's not the same. I believe procrastination is about much more than not wanting to do something. I think it's a lot about emotions that you feel and about the way how you cope with those emotions. And the funny part is that almost everybody procrastinates sometimes. Some of us less, some of us more, but we all do it. But still, it's like this forbidden thing or forbidden word to talk about, the secret that we all have, but we are so ashamed of. I do admit that I do procrastinate a hell lot of. And I don't think procrastination is healthy, but neither is the hustle culture idea of constantly working. In the past couple of years, I've been trying to understand myself more, and I've been trying to understand more why do I lean to procrastination. It surely is a habit and a learned coping mechanism by now, as I've been doing it for years and years. But one main reason why I think procrastination prevails in my life is that it's a way how I cope with the feelings of discomfort and with feelings of being overwhelmed, with fear and with not knowing where and how to start. I've noticed it a lot in the recent weeks when I've decided that I would like to work on my personal project, and I was honestly so excited about it. I pictured all the things in my head, how I would like to do each thing and what the outcome should be and all of that. But once I sat down in front of my computer, I simply couldn't make myself to do it. And all I felt was confusion, feelings of being overwhelmed, angry at myself, and feelings of a failure. And I truly didn't know how to start and what to start with and what exactly should the outcome be. And it all felt really, really confusing. And I think that the overwhelm of not knowing where to start and also the desire for things to be perfect are the main reasons for procrastination. And then obviously as I go and I see people who are able to do all those things that I only dream about, but I can't really force myself to do, I can't help but think, like, I am such a failure. Like, I am not good enough. Why am I like this? And by no means I want to disprove or degrade the hard work that those people put in, because pretty much everyone, I dare to say, had to work hard to get where they are, again, in whatever area we're talking about. But I think at the same time, we don't always see the whole picture. We often get to see most of the highs, but usually only very few of the lows. And that contributes to creating this expectations that if you just work harder and harder and work more and more, then we will be happier. Constantly working isn't healthy, neither is constantly procrastinating. No one is questioning that. And it only makes sense that pouring all your energy into one thing must inevitably lead to imbalance in the other parts of your life. Whether that's the time you spend with your loved ones, whether it's the time with your family, whether it's the time for your hobbies, time dedicated to health, and even time you spend with yourself and your thoughts. But the pressure is real, and so are the expectations, and so is the growing always hustle mindset. And it can be hard not to get yourself caught up in the mindset and not to let yourself believe that hustling is the only way and the only right way how to work on something that you want. I think you don't always need to do more. I think you need to do the right thing or the right things. Now I would like to mention a few things that, in my opinion, are important to remember. and that can help to kind of like break the hustle culture mindset. The first thing is trying to find the balance. I know that finding your balance phrase sounds cheesy as hell, but it is so true. Having some sort of balance is important in any aspects of your life. And honestly, I think reaching like the 50-50 balance is almost impossible, but at least trying to find some sort of balance in things you do, things you like, and things that make you grow are really, really important. And again, whether that's in regards to work, to your free time, to your health, to having fun, to time spending with yourself, to time spending with someone else, whether that's being present in the moment or working on your future, I think balance is essential. And I think it's always easier said than done. And especially whether you are having issues with the hustle culture mindset or whether you are having issues with procrastination, it is easier said than done, but I think it is truly important to at least try to find some sort of balance or to create some sort of balance. One thing that can be helpful, at least to start with, for creating the balance in your life could be to plan out the time that you will dedicate to work, whether that's your day job, your side business, side hustle, your freelance business. And also plan out the time you will take a break, because if you don't plan it, you will never make time for it. Number 2, realize that you need to take a break. I think this sounds like the exact opposite of what we're being told by many people who are part of the side hustle culture, but I truly think we all need to take a break. We all do. I think we all need to have a moment when we do nothing or when we do something that helps us to take a breather, relax, and have some time when we are not constantly worrying about what's next, what should I be doing next. Now more than ever, we are living in a constant hurry to get there as fast as possible and to do next and to do the next thing and move to the next thing and stuff like that. I have this feeling that I should be doing something else and I should be doing more all the freaking time, and it's the worst feeling ever. Because even when I just chill out on the sofa and I try to enjoy the evening with my boyfriend or just watching something on TV, the feeling that I should be doing more and that I should be doing something else is still there, and it's hard to fight. And to be completely honest, I think I've learned this feeling, or I've gained this feeling as a consequence of my issues with procrastination, especially from the past, because when you procrastinate, although it is a way how you cope with like negative feelings associated with whatever thing you were supposed to be doing, even if you are procrastinating and you're like watching YouTube or watching Netflix or doing whatever, you still probably have that hard to shake off feeling that you should be doing something else. And I've learned that feeling, and now I have it like all the freaking time. And whenever I take an actual break, I feel like, damn it, I should be doing something else. So I know it's really hard to shake off the feeling of guilt when you're not doing anything, but I think we all need to take breaks sometimes. Number 3, working hard doesn't equal happiness. I think many of us bought into the idea that we need to become part of the hustle culture and work hard because it will make us happier. It probably has always been this way, but with the rise of the internet and the online world, I feel like we intercharge money for happiness. We think that making more money means being happier. So we often make making money our primary goal. Obviously, there is no point in denying that money are important, but only to a certain extent, and having more money doesn't equal to being happy. If you are unhappy with who you are, with where your life's heading, how you are treated by people, money won't fix that. And dedicating your life to working all the freaking time to make more and more money most probably won't make you happier, at least in my opinion. So remember that working hard doesn't equal happiness. Number 4, if you think you should work harder, but you end up procrastinating, it may be because you feel overwhelmed. I've mentioned this a little bit already, But it's super, super easy to put off something for later if you don't know where to start, or if you have too many things you need to do at the same time. So it's not really a surprise that we start to look out for a way out of that chaos, and we often lean to procrastination. The worst part about procrastination, in my opinion, is when you are procrastinating on your dreams, on your life essentially. Whether that's living a healthier life, whether that's investing time into meaningful relationships, whether that's spending more time doing your hobby, but also starting something new, like building something for yourself. Because our dreams usually don't have a deadline, so we feel like we can put them off again and again. And because we often dream big, which is awesome in my opinion, the bigger the dream is, the more overwhelming it may feel. And it may scare us off, like for real. So I think if you feel that you would like to do more, but somehow you can't make yourself to do it, I would think about whether maybe you are overwhelmed by the amount of work you put on yourself. Number 5, we are too focused on the end goal that we often forget to enjoy the ride. Honestly, sometimes I feel like we no longer do things just for fun or just because, unless there's like an outcome that's valuable. A few weeks ago, I caught myself feeling guilty that I wanted to read a detective book over a self-development book because I felt like it doesn't have the true value for me and that I should constantly be learning something new and I should do more. And I'm like, what the hell? You need to chill out and you can read whatever you want and you can read a detective book if you like. Like I said, I think it's about some sort of balance, but at the same time, if you enjoy reading a book that's fun or that's a detective book or whatever genre it is, you should read it and you shouldn't feel guilty. And you shouldn't stop enjoying the ride that life is. You shouldn't be just focused on the end goal. Working more and working hard can get you to the end goal, maybe a little faster in some cases, but it most probably will get you there more exhausted, unhappy, and tired because you couldn't focus on anything else. And the saddest part is that we often don't even pay attention to the journey we're on because we're too focused on the end goal, on the result. And once we arrive to the goal destination, we're like, cool, now what should I work on next? So if you think this is something that could be your problem, try even just a little bit to be more present and pay attention to what you're doing, why you're doing it, and how is it helping you to get where you want to be. To sum up this episode, I'm going to say it again. Procrastinating all the time is definitely not healthy, nor is working all the freaking time. And with a growing hustle culture mindset around us, we often feel like failure if we have problems with procrastination. I think having issues with procrastination is not anything we should feel ashamed of or guilty about. I think it's a problem like anything else and we need to face that problem, not feel ashamed of that problem. If you are maybe in a similar position like I am and you find it difficult not to procrastinate, I want you to remember that procrastination doesn't make you a bad person. Does that mean that there could possibly be a problem that you should focus on? Yes, but it doesn't say anything about you as a person. It doesn't make you a bad person. And most importantly, it doesn't mean it has to be like that forever. And if you are, on the other hand, caught up in the hustle culture mindset, try to think about why is it that you feel like you need to do more and work more? Is it that you think that it's something that's expected from you? Or do you feel like there's no other option than to work all the time? Or is it maybe that you're missing something in your life, so you throw yourself at work to give yourself some kind of fulfillment, or whatever it is? So I'm going to leave you today with these questions to think about. We all need to find the answer to them ourselves. Or, you don't need to if you don't want to, but if you want to, then you need to find the answer to them yourself. If you enjoyed this episode, please let me know at anci@bingeonselflove.com or DM me on Instagram at bingeonselflove and let me know what topic would you like me to cover next. Have a great rest of the week and talk to you soon. Bye! Thank you so much for spending your time listening to Binge on Self-Love podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to subscribe to Binge on Self-Love podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts so you don't miss any future episode. You can find more content on binge eating, procrastination, and self-acceptance at bingeonselflove.com and on Instagram at bingeonselflove. Talk to you soon. Bye!